This video is brought to you by Bokksu. Hit that link in the description and use the code Gaijin10 to get 10% off your subscription. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. Yes, we're back, feeling good and ready to get back into breaking down culture and gaming.
Dude, it's like the middle of October. You said we were out until the beginning of the month.
Well, it had been over a month since we uploaded over on the Gaijin Perspective channel, and I really had a good idea for a video, so I just wanted to get that out first, but I appreciate all of you being patient as I fight off my brain goblins, and I am so glad to see everyone back.
So then, what's on the chopping block for today?
Well, I figured since it is spooky month, we dip into one of the most terrifying yokai Japan has ever seen. Known in legend as one of the Nihon Sandai Aku Yokai, Shuten Doji.
What's this?
One of the greatest Oni known to human history, Shuten Doji, aka Little Drunkard.
Well, I can freaking see she's a little drunkard. But please, pray explain how this 4-foot lolly is supposed to be one of the most terrifying Oni in history. This is not the personification of anti-humanity. This is someone's 15-year-old attention-seeking daughter who maxed out her daddy's credit cards at Hot Topic back when it was good, and regularly steals from his liquor cabinet in order to make friends. And in her off time, I imagine she'd be slumped on the couch sucking down bags of overpriced junk. Like, look at this elaborate platter she's got going on here. Looks like a Roman hedonistic bowl of snacks. Snacks.
Wait, hey, you want to talk about snacks people will indulge in? You can't go wrong with Bokksu. You know, it's kind of funny. One day not that long ago, I introduced Bokksu to my taiko drum group, and now they can't get enough of it. Every single week we meet, it's, hey, when's the next Bokksu coming? But that's one of the charms of Bokksu. With 20 different kinds of snacks in each box, it makes for a really fun social gathering with friends. But that's not the only charm. The Japanese members in my group were also really intrigued with the information booklet that comes with each box. Not only does it line out where each region-based original snack comes from, but it was interesting for them to see all the different vocabulary and cultural notes associated with each box's theme. Because, as I've mentioned, Bokksu does with snacks what I do with games and anime, teach about Japan. This month's theme is all about autumn in Kansai, home of the more traditional side of Japan. With the changing of the seasons comes several different fall traditions. Aki Matsuris, Momichikari leaf viewing, and snacking down on various manju, samples of which are included in this box and get my personal seal of approval. So if you want to sink your teeth into Japan's culture figuratively and literally, hit up my link in the description and use the code Gaijin10 to get 10% off your subscription. Shipping's worldwide and you can cancel at any time.
Alright. Look, all I was trying to say is that she's a spoiled teenage gremlin. Just look at her entry in-game during the April Fool's event. Quote, a servant about as civilized as a wild animal. Strips whenever she wants, she always seems drunk, but does alcohol actually affect her? So, come on! How am I supposed to believe that she's this all-powerful, all-evil entity?
Okay, I know the Fate series likes to take some creative liberties with the world culture that it borrows from, but to be completely fair, the story that Fate uses as character history in their iteration of Shuten Doji is surprisingly not that different than what history recounts.
Uh-huh. And how exactly does this carefully spun story go?
Well, let me take you back to 800 BCE. It's the middle of the Heian period, and the capital of Japan, Kyoto, is having a bit of a problem. Tons of children and young adults of noble court families have been disappearing. With no leads to follow, the court turns to their most powerful Onmyoji diviner, Abe no Seme, who then determined that it was the Oni clan on Mount Oe that were kidnapping their young. And these Oni of Oe were not ones to be trifled with. Led by Ibaraki Doji, her second-in-command was the legendary Shuten Doji, an Oni not from birth, but from transformation. Legend states that Shuten started life as a child of a human woman and the great 8-headed serpent of folklore, Yamata no Orochi. This gave her unbelievable strength and intelligence, but it also made her stand out, and in Japan the one thing you don't want to do is stand out. In fact, she stuck out so much that she and her mother were labeled as freaks by the community and were completely ostracized, eventually moving Shuten's mother to abandon her at a young age at a Buddhist monastery. But rather than finding solace in Zen, Shuten found boredom and contempt, which led her to her namesake as she would drink constantly, a rather substantial rule that she broke daily. But her sins didn't end there. One night during a festival, Shuten donned an Oni mask and proceeded to jump scare as many people as possible, only to later discover that that Oni mask that she was wearing wasn't coming off, and in a matter of days, her full transformation into an Oni was complete. But that was the past. Presently, she and her leader Ibaraki were doing nothing but sowing chaos, causing diseases, and kidnapping the young of nobles. It was decided by Emperor Ichijo that Minamoto no Yorimitsu, aka Raiko, and the 4 heavenly kings would—
Stop! What is this?
Yorimi?
No, sir, that is not. Look, I'm fine with gender bending in fiction. I mean, heck, Neo 2 did it with these exact same characters in this exact same plot. But the crucial difference here is that this female Raiko from Neo 2 is a believable badass Bugeisha. However, this... Man, I thought Fate Shuten's outfit was minimal at best. I'd even fight dressed like a...
Anyway, Raiko would be accompanied by Watanabe no Tsuna, Usui Sadamitsu, Urabe no Suitake, and another dragonborn figure of Japanese folklore, Sakata no Kintoki. Together they traveled to Mount Owe to take on Ibaraki Doji and her Oni. But curiously, along their way, the five were stopped by a group of 3 old men, who instructed the group to dress as monks, gave them a poisoned sake, and an indestructible helmet, all of which was sure to help them in their upcoming fight. The group eventually put together that these 3 old geezers were actually 3 great Buddhist deities, so they humbly gave thanks and moved on. Continuing on their path, they ran into an old woman doing laundry, who told them that the Oni clan were not just enslaving the women that they kidnapped, but ate all of their captives. Eventually, the group of 5 actually ran into Shuten Doji out on patrol, and they all together made their way to the clan's castle. And surprisingly, they were treated well and even thrown a feast. This was due to Shuten's personal interest in Kintoki, who was also a supernatural child from birth and also conceived by a human and a dragon. It was at this time that Kintoki offered Shuten the poisoned sake, and despite knowing full and well that it was a tainted drink, she and the other Oni gladly took a cup of it, proving how enamored she really was with Kintoki.
I told you, man, she's just like a teenager making bad decisions to impress boys she likes.
Can I finish? Okay. To wrap it all up, once all the Oni had ingested the poisoned sake, they all fell into a deep stupor. Once incapacitated, Raiko and her crew began lopping off all the heads of the Oni in the clan. However, Shuten was so powerful as an Oni that her disembodied head leapt up and bit at Raiko, though the attack was foiled as Raiko was wearing that indestructible helmet given to her by the Buddhist deities. When it was all said and done, Shuten's head was buried outside of Kyoto as it was too evil to have within the city limits, placed in a mountain pass called Oni-Osaka, where Osaka is today.
Wait, so if Shuten's head was buried in Osaka, how is she back in the modern day as a summon during the Grail Wars?
Dude, I don't know. I didn't say the whole plot was culturally accurate, just her background. Just as I said back in that Tamamo no Maya video we did a year or so back, Fate's got a plot like a neutron star, cosmically dense and scientifically confusing. I think it's just how the Holy Grail kinda works, bringing back old folklore characters and such, but who's to say?
Okay, hand-wavy canon aside, yeah, I get where you're coming from. There's a lot from Fate Shuten's story that does mirror the folk story pretty well, but there's more than a few things that it leaves out. Look, I'm sorry, gang. I don't care if she does have the sexiest voice in the entire Fate franchise. Shuten Doji was always male. But yeah, much like the Fates version, Shuten was a superhuman specimen of a child who was ostracized, became an alcoholic, and inevitably became a reflection of his own twisted heart. But Shuten Doji was powerful. I mean, he's one of the Nihon Sandai Aku Yokai for crying out loud. Alongside Tamamo no Mai, who we talked about in our other Fate video, and Otakemaru, a hybrid of Oni and God who nearly took over Kyoto. Shuten was not the second in command of the Oni clan of Mount Owe under Ibaraki Doji, but very much the other way around. Granted, when it came to the encounter with Raiko, Ibaraki was the only one to escape, but make no mistake, Shuten ran that gang. And let's be clear about one other minor detail that led to Shuten and Ibaraki's downfall. Shuten did not have a personal interest in Kintoki. Were the two of them birthed by a woman impregnated by a dragon? In some versions, yes, but Shuten was impregnated by one of the most evil dragon snake things to ever come out of the Nihon Shoki, while Kintoki was birthed from the thunder of a red dragon of Mount Ashigara, born and raised into adulthood as a hero. Regardless of Emperor Ichijo's call to action of Kintoki, Daiko, and the other Shiteno, I can't for a minute think that these two would naturally be buddy-buddy. Based on their origin, they would hate each other. Finally, there's one tiny point in Fate Shuten's story that is not only incorrect, but it kinda sabotages the huge sociological message that Shuten Doji's tale tells. Yes, believe it or not, the story of this little gremlin is actually one of the best political and sociological satires of the Heian period. In the Fate series, Shuten is basically smitten by Kintoki and willingly downs the Shinben Kido Kushu sake like a rushing sorority girl downing 6 shots of vodka to impress the frat boys. But the truth of the matter is, Shuten and his crew had absolutely zero knowledge that the sake they were graciously given was a trap, leading to their demise. As a matter of fact, while you might expect Shuten to be a chaotic evil sociopath, the only deceit that was done was from Naiko and the Shitenno. The group of heroes in garb of aesthetic monks were originally found by Shuten's Oni thugs and claimed they only wanted a place to stay for the night. And while many of the Oni wanted to eat the 5 right then and there, one of the cooler-headed ones suggested they bring them to Shuten first. Shuten, in response, stated that he was surprised that any humans made it this far, to which Naiko stated that they were following the steps of a Yamabushi mountain monk who was friendly to Oni. Surprisingly, this emotionally moves Shuten, as not only does he allow the group to stay the night, but he provides free food and entertainment for the 5. Granted, it's human sashimi and blood sake, but hey, they're Oni. What did you expect? To which Naiko and the gang actually partake, eating human flesh and drinking human blood, stating that their sect requires them to take any gifts offered to them. Kintoki even gets on his feet and dances with the entertainment, all the while Shuten is humbled by all this. It's at this point, after being treated, Naiko thanked Shuten by offering him the poisoned sake. After getting entirely smashed, Shuten states that he and the others were going to go to bed. Just after, the disguised warriors donned their weapons and armor and systematically butchered every single Oni and rescued the court's women. Cause yeah, that's really honorable. In fact, Shuten was actually held down while Naiko took his head off. And before being beheaded, Shuten cried out, "How sad you priests, you said you do not lie. There is nothing false in the words of demons." And in defiance, Shuten's disembodied head leapt up to retaliate, but to no avail due to the unbreakable helmet given to Naiko by the deities. So why the deception? Well, like many tales of heroes and monsters in the Heian period, yokai in these stories were actually displaced clans and native folk who did not bend a knee to the Japanese emperor. For example, Tsuchigumo, another yokai that was killed by Naiko under the order of the emperor, was originally propaganda slang for a clan of folk who opposed the emperor and fought with hillside guerrilla tactics, thus earning them their name of Earth Spiders. Shuten Doji and his band of Oni likely originated from a similar situation. Notice how Shuten and his gang only kidnapped daughters of nobles and courtsmen? It's open to interpretation, sure, but I really do believe that the story of Shuten Doji was a clever ploy of the Heian court to literally demonize a displaced rebellious clan of individuals that didn't want to be a part of the empire, and were fighting directly against it to stay independent. And living in the world that we live in now, knowing what we know, it's really not such a terrible thing for individuals to not want to be forced into serving an empire they don't like or agree with. But these were people who were not dealt with in any sort of honorable or respectable way. That was saved for the people who did bow to the emperor. These were outsiders plotting against the stability and peace of the court, and had to be done away with by any means necessary. This isn't a complaint against Fate's story of Shuten, but rather I think it would have made a fantastic aspect to Shuten's personality and story. Yes, I know, she's supposed to be the sexy voiced lolicon bait, but this level of betrayal, the line of "there's nothing false in the words of demons," there's seemingly a lot more to Shuten Doji's story than popular culture lets on. I just think it would have given Fate's iteration a bit more depth. Maybe not on the level of must protect waifu, but I don't know, make her more than just a sexy sounding lolly?
Dang. Well, what do you all think? Especially you Fate fans. Knowing all this, do you think it would have actually given Shuten Doji a bit more depth and character? Do you think that this other side of the story matters? Let me know in the comments below, and while you do, if you want to make like Shuten and indulge in some Japanese delicacies, hit up that link in the description and use the code Gaijin10 to get 10% off your subscription with Bokksu. And speaking of Oni, I'm still hard at work making my D&D 5th Ed Oni race over on DM's Guild to accompany the Tanuki and Kappa that I put out earlier. Hoping to have that out late this month or early next. And please don't forget, we're still breaking out culture and gaming live every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday over on Twitch. But until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.